Well, good morning. Don't know if anybody's waiting in the chat or not, but no particular subject today. Just another day to try to pass away. Well, good morning there, Noreen, Tori. Glad to see you there this morning. Yeah, my cat wound. My cat wound up in my lap up here this morning for some reason. See. Oh, let's see. Caddy, good morning. Oh, Fly Skies, Flynn Skies, good morning. Cat Lady, uh, Kathy, Pretty Pug, Tammy B, Tank Girl. I'm glad to see all of you. I think my cat just wanted to come up long enough to see what I was up to. I've got my camera up here and my computer's down here. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to just look into the chat and see who all's here. I didn't have any, excuse me, boy, my throat is giving me problems this morning. Kim, I see you on here. It's been a kind of a tough few days here lately. Oh boy. Our anniversary was the 17th of January, and my wife's birthday is today. She would have been 80 today. So it's just one of them times where I'm not at my best by any means. Just kind of more tired than anything, and it's been hard to sleep for a while here. But I am doing okay. I'm eating, doing all the stuff I'm supposed to. I take my meds. I just didn't feel like doing a whole lot. Kind of, I don't know what you call it, but the realization that Barb, is gone is kind of finally hit home, you might say. Well, I feel well enough. I've had all my shots as far as for the flus that are out there. I'm just still adjusting to life without my best friend, my wife. But I'm doing okay. I'm just going through the things that people go through when they're how you doing there, Gabe? When they don't have somebody. Well, when they lose their spouse and they're just trying to get used to the different lifestyle, because it is a lot different. I'm not sure, Tori, but I think I do have your telephone number. I will give you a call. And Lucinda, good morning. Yeah, Gabe, I heard that you guys were going to have it pretty cold down there. Man, I didn't even know it got that cold down there where you're at. I've been in Florida. It's the weather's always been above 70, believe me. Okay, Tori. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just trying to see who else here is all right now. That's why I'm being a little quiet. And yeah, my daughter, she visits every once in a while and stays a few days. And my neighbors check just about daily. And I fixed some decent meals. I fixed one of my favorites not too long ago. I had shrimp in a gravy type sauce that I like. It's I make it with flour, cooking wine, and half and half cream, and just a little bit of olive oil in it. And then I get French bread and put it in pretty thick pieces. Let me see. Pieces pretty thick, 1.5 inches, I guess, maybe 2 inches. And that's to dip the sauce up, if anything that's left over, so your plate's nice and clean when you get done. And the shrimp I get are usually large or jumbo if I can get them. And this time I got them with the shells already off. They were frozen when I got them. But when I thawed them out, they really were good. They weren't mushy or anything like that. And then I take a little pan and I mix up a little butter and garlic, salt, pepper, a couple other things just to give them a little extra kick, a little heat. I like things with a little, I like pepper and stuff in there that will make you know you had something that made your tongue tingle. And I cook the gravy separate. And then when I'm just about got it, the gravy completed, and I've got my butter hot, I throw my shrimp in with the butter. And then when they get kind of a pink tinge to them, and on the back, you always cut them open and get rid of the mud vein. They'll kind of curl a little bit. And that means it's just perfect. And I throw a little bit of the butter that's got all the different things in it. And I throw that on top of the gravy. I take about half of it. And I blend it in. And after a couple minutes, then I throw my shrimp with the butter into that mix. And then I mix it all up. And then I put it in a bowl and plate it up. And then I start eating. And man, does it taste good. Yep. I learned how to do all that down in Louisiana a long time ago. I think it was Yeah, I think it was over 40 years ago. So that's a long time ago. All right, that's my recipe for the day. Okay. Gabe, are you going to go out there and work in this cold weather today? Yeah, my daughter went through the spice cabinet and threw a lot of those spices away that were in there. Um, some of them I do have to replace. So, and I go through my refrigerator at least every 2 weeks, and if it's been in the refrigerator and past its date, like your condiments can get past, you don't realize it. They go out, and anything that I cooked up that I didn't eat in the last, we'll say 4 days, it goes out. I don't take a chance on anything that's going to put me down and make me sick. Felisa, good morning. My breakfast lately have been most of the time it's pancakes and gravy, but sometimes I've got maple syrup here too, and a pretty good jug of it. I think it's about a quart, a little over a quart, I guess. And I have that on there. Plenty of butter on the pancakes as well. And then a lot of times, if I have the pancakes with syrup, I'll cook up some sausage links and have them. But I don't have toast when I have pancakes. Sometimes when I have, like, let's say, eggs, I like them over easy, and sausage, and then I want 2 pieces of toast with it. I have the bread I like is called potato bread. It's kind of a heavy bread, and I like a heavy bread more than I do the real fluffy white bread. I like something with a little kick to it. And then in my dinner meals, I usually have dinner rolls a lot of times with that, no matter what it is. Kim, good morning, Kim. Kim saying, Tori's working while she's working her day job and listening. Okay. Gigi, I see you on there this morning. I still feel kind of beat today. This weather lately has not been conducive to doing a lot of things out in the yard. I go up to my garage and check it, make sure the heat's working okay out there. I've got a garage downstairs here too, in the lower level. Tricky G, I see you there. Mrs. Tom Selleck, I see you there. Yeah, I'm trying to get supplies together for vacation coming up here pretty soon. I'm going to buy a couple of those. They're rocking chairs, the fold-up type canvas. I'm trying to find just the right ones. The ones I bought 10 years ago, they finally bit the dust and came apart. So let's see. There's a lot of things I needed to buy for the travel trailer. the stuff I had with the motorhome, I gave most of it with the motorhome, yeah, because I didn't think I'd ever travel again like that. But I decided to go ahead and give it another last hurrah and make my trip around a dozen states or so. Betty, good morning there, Betty. Yeah, I've got my coffee with me today, just so you all know. Oh, okay. You're headed for Florida. You're gonna warm it up for me, okay? I was going to say anything would be better than what I'm in, but actually, last night it was 20. I think it was 24 degrees when I went to bed. So, although that's still cold, it's better than it was the previous week where I was hitting some 0-degree temps. Angel food cake pan. Yeah, I'll let you know before I go down, Tori. Hopefully we can meet down there. Ruth, you get your coffee as well. Yeah, it's kind of late in the day for coffee, but it's just been one of the mornings. I got up early because my pup, he likes to go out between 4:30 and 5. And I let him out and gave him his breakfast or his meal for the morning anyway. And I went back to bed for a while. I was just, like I say, I haven't been the best and I'm pretty tired. You're getting out of the Texas cold and jumping into the Florida cold. Yeah. You know, I lived in Texas down there, and I lived down there in Houston, and it would be, you know, the winters were mild. It wasn't real bad. It still felt cold. I mean, I wore jackets in the wintertime. But it seemed like by the time it get up around 10 or 11 o'clock, it was, you know, it warmed up quite a bit. Let's put it that way. If you were out in the sun, it didn't really feel that cold. The shade was cold though, but not once you're out in the sun. And then in summertime, when it got hot, we didn't sit out in the patio. We'd wait till, usually it was closer to 9 o'clock at night. Go out in the patio and sit. But that's just getting used to a different type of weather. I preferred the Texas weather to the weather up here in Iowa. Betty lives down in deep South Texas where it's getting warm down there. Yeah. Living, you know, not too far off the Gulf. A lot of times you get a little bit of warm air coming up off the Gulf, warm and kind of humid. And then when we'd get rains, it seemed like it would rain for half hour or so, you know, pretty good rain. Then it would go away, and then it'd come back again an hour later and hit you for another half hour. You'd get days where it was on and off all day. A little bit. Oh, you're not really late. A little bit. I didn't put a notice out this morning. I see Lori up there. I just came on and went live. I didn't I didn't warn anybody out there. I just came on, other than last night on two Lees, Bearded and Tanya asked if I was coming on. I said I would for a little bit. I don't want to keep it on here for more than an hour. See Judith this morning. Good morning. Heineken. Good morning. Oh, 20 degrees down there where Heineken's at, or up there. Heat wave. It is a heat wave, but it's been down in the 0 or minus for the past couple of weeks. 45 where Mrs. Selleck, and on the way up to 67. But I could use some 67-degree weather. A little bit says 49 and nice outside. Yeah, I could. I'll tell you what, I could use some of that kind of weather. This has been a mild winter, though. I only had the snow blower. I had to use it a couple of times is all. It is unusual to have that little bit of snow. Normally, we'll get a half a dozen pretty fair storms, and the snow blower, I have to get it out. And I'm talking about where I have to use a snow blower. We get more days of snow than that, but a half a dozen times with a blower. I'm using my mic instead of the one on the computer today, so I hope everybody can hear me okay. Cat Lady says that wind chill is getting old. Yeah. There was one day that with the wind chill here, it was 41 below, and that was really tough. Because of my pup, I have to get out in the weather every single day, multiple times, because he likes to go out there and fertilize it. And if I don't take him out, then he gets a little upset. My cat has an automatic sandbox, if you will, and she goes in there and it senses that she's been there, and then it goes through there and it's got like a rake. It rakes up everything she leaves behind, and the pee in there coagulates with the filler in there. And when we got it, she was so fascinated with this thing. She used to get up on top of it. It's got looks like it's not really a log, but let's say that, but she can actually get on there, and she would write on that thing. She thinks it's to write on. And for Christmas, my daughter bought me one of those automatic sweepers that goes around and sweeps. And she likes to follow that. She's fascinated with it. One of these days, I'll bet she's going to get on top of it and write it, because she's about the bravest cat I have ever seen, and most inquisitive. And she doesn't know what no is, or at least she acts like she don't. She'll look at me and go her own way when I tell her that I don't want her to do something. And if I point at her, then she gets up there as close as she can. She wants to box. Catley says, I have a fenced area so I don't have to go with my doggies. My one loves to sit in the snow. My problem, Cat Lady, is that one of our pups years ago was one of them shit-eating dogs. And she did her best to teach the next pup and the next pup and the next pup over the years. And so I have to watch him. He'll treat it like a treat. And that I don't, it's hard to break him of it. I talked to the vet. The vet says, well, it means you've been feeding that puppy of yours pretty good. So she said, and it's common. And I said, common or not, I don't like his breath when he's grabbed a little piece, and I'm not going to let him lick me when he's had something like that. So, yeah, I have pads, and he will use the pad if I want him to. He don't like to, because he loves the outdoors, and he will wait till the last minute before he'll go on a pad. I used him when my wife was in the hospital last year, because I'd be gone more than 8 hours. He can hold it about 8 to 10 hours, and then he looks for a place. My backyard is fenced. If I watch him from inside, I can yell at him and tell him to get up here, and he will. I just have to remember where he went out there, because, like I say, he'll treat it like a treat. And it's the fence I've got just for the pets, or for him. The cat doesn't go out there. Is a privacy type fence, and I don't worry about him and other animals bothering him too much. I know here about a month ago, a possum got to run around the backyard, and he was trying to make friends with it. I don't know if he thought it was a cat or just what it is, but he thought it was the biggest thing. And year before last, I had a bunch of little skunks running around back there. I think I had there's at least 4 of them back there, and I didn't want him to get tangled up with the mother skunk, so I had to bring him in. He thought they were out there for him to play with. Anything that's out there, he's going to go over and check it out. My litter box tank girl, it's the automatic part. I don't have to mess with it for about 3 or 4 days. And I use, I used to use ground corn in there, and it was it has stuff in there to keep from smelling. You can't tell that there's a cat box in the house. It does that. There's no odor coming out of there. And I've got it in a room where it's strictly her room. I've got a barrier where the door is that allows her to get in and out. It's just an opening, so high. Get both my hands like there. And she's got separate water if she wants it down there. She considers that like her little home. She doesn't like to share it too well. If anybody goes down there, she's going to be right there and inspect everything. So it happens to be a room where I have other things that I store down there. And I also have a extra refrigerator in there. That way when I come in the garage, and then I go from the garage into the house, a lot of times I've got a freezer out in the garage part. I put the frozen stuff out there and the fresh stuff in the refrigerator. And that way my refrigerator upstairs doesn't get so overwhelmed that you can't find anything. And as I need something, I'll bring it up so I can rotate it. That way I don't have to have a lot of stock. I just keep one of each or whatever I've got up there in the fridge. And it's a side-by-side refrigerator, so I have a freezer up there as well. I could get by for 8 to 9 months with the stuff I've got in the 2 freezers without having to go to the store. I have powdered milk in a pantry and canned goods and stuff like that. Because of, there's days where you don't feel like going to this grocery. There's been a lot of times where I haven't went to the store in over 3 or 4 weeks, where I've just taken stuff from the pantry or the freezer or the refrigerator. And the powdered milk isn't as bad as what you'd think today, at least in my mind. And I don't mind drinking ice water with the meals. So, all right. Yeah, here where I'm at, this week, it's going to be in the 30s all week. Now at night, it's still going to be down in the teens and maybe 20. Last night, it stayed in the 20s, and that's the first time in 3 weeks it stayed that warm, if you want to call that warm. Noreen says a remote lawnmower is a choice to look into, like your sweeper. What I need is a remote weed eater or something. The lawn, I can mow it's a half acre, and I can have everything mowed in about an hour. And then it actually takes a couple hours to do, well, 2 to 3 hours to do trimming. And a lot of it has to do because of fencing and trees and bushes and, stuff like that. When we bought this place, there was virtually very little out in the yard. It was a blank plate. And it gave my wife a lot of pleasure to go out there and decide where trees were going to be. I'll have to take some pictures so you guys can see them. Believe it or not, one of the people that apparently watches these other channels, we caught him on down here taking pictures from just up off the highway back at my place, and it looked like he was taking pictures of my travel trailer. My neighbor said it looked so funny. He parked his truck a block away, walked down there, and came not into my yard, but walked along the right of way there, about 20 feet going south, if that, maybe more closer to 15 feet, and took his pictures with his camera, with his telephone. I thought he wouldn't be seen. And my neighbor happened to know who it was, by the way. So that part where I was worried about somebody here in town checking my property out multiple times, we now know who it is, and he hasn't been seen since. So maybe the chief around here had a talk with him. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, actually, Lucinda, the cat and my dog have been taught that I feed them at the same time, and they're about 5 feet apart, and they don't bother. How you doing there, John? They don't bother each other's food. The dog would be the one more apt to try to get her food, but she gets pretty indignant. She'll slap the crap out of him if he goes even near her food. So he's pretty careful. Yeah, Kevin, I see that you the weed eater, or the only reason I don't use the poisons to kill the weeds around there is because of the pup. He has a bad habit. He likes to grab stuff and chew on it. When he'd watch my wife do weed, where she'll pull weeds by hand, or flowers, when she'll deadhead flowers and things. And he thinks that part of his duty is going around doing stuff like that. And I don't want him getting into those weeds if they've had poison on them. It's pretty dangerous for an animal, more so than it would be for a person. So we got out of the habit of that. If we do something like that, I might do it spotty, especially for, we've got some invasive ones. I can't remember what they are now, but I do that once in a while, but I'll put a little bit of a fence around it until hopefully it's been raining on a couple of times where it's dissipated the poison. John, how are you doing this morning? Shouldn't have said my dogs are pigs. I use salt, vinegar, dish soap for weeds around the fences. That works pretty good. My wife has a recipe that sounds like that one just for that. And we have used it. Good morning, Kevin. It's got a little warmer, huh, John? Okay. By the way, when I mow the lawn, I've got a zero turn cub, and it does a lot of the. If I'm going around a tree, I can get close enough so you really don't have to use a weed eater around it. You just have to be careful not to knock the bark off with that mower. It's pretty good size. It looks like the one that Jeremy has down there. My wife, she used to love to use that she could go. I mean, she really used to use it pretty much wide open. So. John says, anybody who says my shed's not insulated, I slept with a pair of shorts on and a light blanket. That John, I know you have that barnuminium down there that, you know, it's made to be a shell for a house. And a person, if they want to, and I'm not telling you this is the way to go, but you can actually take reinforced plastic, you know, and you can actually put it on 2x4 frame, and you can make an area that is good enough to protect you from just about anything. And you can put flaps in it, screening, if you will, so that you can get a breeze through it. Or, and in my garage, my air conditioning is done with more of a portable type air conditioner. And my garage is oversized. It's almost 800 square feet. And I only have the one unit in there, and I can control it very well. And I have a fan as well that I blow it so that the whole part of the garage will get cooled off. And even in a day that's 100 degrees, I can keep it down under 85 in there with that. And it's thermostat controlled and remote controlled, the whole works. Now, in the same context, if I really want to, I can turn the heat on, turn the air off, turn the heat on, and it'll keep that garage, even in the wintertime when it gets down below zero, it'll keep it up there around 60 to 70 degrees with the heat part on. It's a portable and it's the second one I've had. I've air conditioned it now for be almost 23 years coming up, and it's been adequate. And it was the best choice I had, tell you the truth. It doesn't take a lot of room, and the window, I open it about 4.5 to 5 inches. I have slider windows in and this garage now, it's insulated. It's built like a home. It has 8-foot ceilings in it, or 8 something. It's even trimmed out like a house. So, it's easy to maintain temperature control. And I control the temperature year round in there. I don't mind going out in the hottest day of the summer, and it's really nice and cool. And if it accidentally, the power goes out, the slab itself in there will keep it mild in there for about 3 or 4 days in the worst weather, whether it's hot or cold. So, and if say the power would go out in the daytime, I can close the shades, and it keeps the sun out enough that it doesn't come in and warm the interior. So just to let you know, there are things that you can do for temporary. And I know a lot of people probably don't think much of an idea of trying to stay in a garage in the summer or winter time or a cool time. You can make it so that it's more than livable, and you'll have plenty of leg room. And that you can make temporary quarters that are a lot better than trying to sleep in a outside or anything like that. Those panels being temporary like that, the nice thing about it is you can use them later on. You can make a greenhouse out of them or whatever you want. Just to let you know, it's possible to do all kinds of stuff and not lose the money you invested in them. Dan, how you doing? Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I'm getting cabin fever too. If I don't start getting out and doing something, I'll go stir crazy for sure. The one thing I like to do in the spring is I like to fish. And my pup does like to get outside the barriers of our fence whenever he can. I don't let him run loose when I'm out fishing at a lake or a river. I have him on a leash of some kind, but I am looking forward to getting out there more. 2 leaves in a pod. Is that Gabe or is that Lisa? Oh, heck. Woo. I think you got everything you need, John. Oh, heck. Okay, Lisa. Gabe was in here earlier. He said hi too. Yeah. Nine Chins. I didn't see you in here. I must have been talking and didn't see it, but sorry about that. Yeah, he was in here, Lisa. Well, and it's you now. Okay. Heineken says, back in my drinking days, I always remember Dean Martin, who said one of the favorite entertainers once said about drinking, you're not drunk if you can lie on the floor without holding on. You know what my favorite one was I used to like to say? He says, I feel sorry for all you people out there that don't drink. He said, when you wake up in the morning, that's the best you're going to feel all day. What he was trying to tell you is that you might have a hangover in the morning, but his day is going to get a lot better. Yeah, Kevin says John, that sounds a lot better than a lot of folks have. Yeah, and that's right. Think about all the people out there on the west side of the mountains in North Carolina when the hurricane went through there and devastated that whole everything on the west side of the Appalachian out there. How hard it was for them. The roads were all washed out. The bridges were gone. Their houses were gone. And they were trying to get places to live. They were fighting the government because the government didn't want them to live in what they call a shed. They would rather, I guess, that they were out in the open with nothing than to have some kind of shelter. I'm in my 80s, and back when I grew up as a kid, a lot of our homes, they didn't have running water, and some of them didn't have electricity. And, there's nothing wrong with having to have just shelter, okay? You can get around just having a shelter, and you can live very well. And there's a lot of people that still live that way, and it is not a problem, folks. What we did in the summertime, when daylight come, we would head for the creek, go fishing. And I'm talking when I was very young, because as a kid, the creek was our playground. And in the afternoons, we'd head for a good shade tree and maybe even have an apple or something, peach or something, while we sat there and relaxed. You get acclimated to the heat, and the shade is always cooler than walking out, in the sun. So, Marla, good morning, Marla. I see you're on here. Okay, I must have missed you somewhere up there, but good morning, Mick. I see you there. I think Strictly is here. I think I said hi to her a little bit ago, Strictly a little bit ago. No, I know it. My stepmother is from North Carolina, but she's from the east side of the mountains. The west side got hammered. It's kind of, it's rough. It's probably one of the worst times they've ever had on the west side over there. Yeah. Lucinda says she has a 14 by 22 shed out back. My daughter uses. It's all insulated, better than my trailer. Air heat and lights. That's shelter is shelter, people, and you can make it as comfortable as you want, depending on how much money or how much change you have in your pocket. Good morning, Marla. I see you there. Marla said she was happy to see Michelle and Lisa's live last night. It's been a while since I seen Michelle out there in the different chats. So I hope things are going a lot better for Marla and John. Michelle and John. I'm sorry, Michelle and John says this shed is a hell of a lot more insulated than an RV. Yep. The problem with an RV is it has the walls aren't very thick, and it's hard to insulate them to the to what you want. But the other thing, an RV, the ceiling isn't very high, and it gets extremely hot in the summertime. And even with air conditioner running wide open, when you're standing up in an RV, you feel the heat that comes in from the ceiling. In the wintertime, now I had a motorhome that had what they call the Alaska insulation kit in it. And that's where they foam everything underneath, and all your storage areas down below are completely insulated. You have heat pumped into them and air pumped into them, so that you have this, you're encapsulated in whatever you're using for temporary heat or air conditioning. And it still would get to you because of the way they're manufactured. I can build a shed in a day, a nice sized one, by myself. And the next day I can insulate it. And then I can buy the equipment and have it delivered without even going and getting it, and throw it inside and have a place to live in without a problem. The big problem our country has in reality is that a poor person, they expect them to meet the standards of what they think everybody should have. Not everybody has the minimal amount of money it takes to meet those standards. And so they're not allowed to have temporary quarters. It was not so much that way when I was growing up. If you had a chicken coop, you could actually live in it if you wanted to. And I know for a fact some people that actually lived in a chicken coop and it actually had a dirt floor. Those things, people live fine. And I know everybody today has a distaste for that type of a living environment. And it's unfortunate you can't look at it from somebody that doesn't have a choice. And it's a matter of doing the best you can, keep it as clean as you can. And you say you can't keep a dirt floor clean. What is clean? If you have a clean floor, it gets dirt on it from your feet as you walk in and out of the house. So that, just tell me what is the coating for a clean floor? Because it's rare to find one that really is. And if you carpet it, it builds dirt up year after year after year. And by the way, you don't get it all out. And all kinds of things live in a carpeted floor. I prefer a wood floor myself, but if I had to live in a place that just kept me warm or cool, I could do that and without a problem. It may not be a preference, but I understand there are times where you don't have a choice. When I was a kid, and I'm telling you, by the time I was 10 or 12 years old, I could build a shelter that would keep the sun off just out of things that were outside. The people have to get real instead of judging what other people have available to them. But now I guess the government would rather bring those people into town that are having a problem, let them put a tent on the sidewalk and starve to death while other people are walking around them. That's not life for me. I'd rather be out in the countryside somewhere in the woods. And back years ago, I could survive in the woods without a problem. I already knew what's edible, what wasn't out there, how to trap or hunt squirrels and rabbits. And, and it didn't bother me a bit because I knew what it was like from the day I could walk. That never bothered me since. I don't do those things today. Luckily, I've got grocery stores where I can go get groceries, and it's a lot easier than traipsing through the woods trying to make groceries. Justice would be for John and Michelle to be lien holders on Dork Hale's property. Even if he never paid his judgments, just being the lien holder against the property would be justice. Yep, just to be able to say it. I don't know if I've seen that one, Marla. I have to go back and look. The sentence says, "We don't have carpet, we don't have fleas." Grandma Buckeye says, "Please sue the heck out of Germ." Yeah, that property, I think it's mostly wetlands. At least that 70 acres. So you're restricted as to what you can build by federal and state laws. And you can't really change the watershed from it without getting federal permits. I know they think they don't have to, but if you start researching federal laws, you can find out there's a lot of things that are in there that people don't realize that will restrict what you're doing to that land. And the reason being, whatever you do to your land affects the neighbor, and it's what's good for everybody in the block. And it's too bad they don't have some things that pertain to the attitude of the people. They control the land, but in the people, they allow them to do a lot of things, as what happens down there in Otter Creek. That town, just from looking at out from the outside. Okay, I live in a small town. To me, it looks like the whole town has been treed. And the reason I say that is somebody come to town, they changed the town itself. It's not just an attitude change that's in there. But now I don't think you can come and go out of that town without being seen on camera. And I realize that laws say that from public access, you can take a picture of anything you want. I understand that very well. That's part of our freedom part. But most people had the respect that they haven't encroached on the neighbor to look in their backyard. And yet down there it is a daily thing. It's unfortunate. Privacy doesn't exist in that little town. And your freedom of speech does not exist down there. And even though the people can vote for who they want, the vote, you can tell, is very well controlled because there was complete turnover of that down there a couple of years ago. So think about that when you live in a small town and you let a big fish in your pond. Yeah, that property, you're not going to be farming it. Yeah, I don't know about rescue down there. I mean, I know that I don't know what all the standards are for that type of property, especially since it's considered inside the legal city limits. It would have to meet some pretty high standards, I'm thinking, to be a rescue. Timothy, you nailed it. The town was hit with Hurricane Jeremy. Uh-oh. Let me see. My sound is still on. What happened is I went like that. Okay. I was talking and not paying attention to what I was doing. And Mike's, this is a sensitive mic. And if I change where it's at, it'll go up or down. Let's see. Felisa, I'm not sure what a town can do. If they could sue for interrupting their peace, they certainly could choose who they wanted to be in the council and mayor and change just about any ordinance they want within the confines of our Constitution. Yes, we grow mushrooms. There's certainly probably a lot of them just from Jeremy's. He's probably been out there planting a lot of mushrooms. Ren, I just noticed you. How you doing, Ren? Heineken says, in all seriousness, the truth being told would be half the justice for John and Michelle. Then the financial compensation would be too little, too late, but could ease some burden. Yeah. Just having the freedom of not worrying about your back is quite a deal. Always, I hate to say too much, about the freedoms that have been taken away from people or how to restore them. If I told you how to restore them, somebody there would say I was doing a hate speech or threatening. They seem to think because I come from a background back when we didn't have a lot of money in our pocket, and that we always knew how many shells we had for hunting, and I think that is a threat against life and limb. Now, that was never the intention. Because of a conversation John and I had, they said the combination of the two of us, because of what I said then, was a threat. And that shows you how far people will go to take words and change the meaning, because they combine, not just move around the words I said, but they bring somebody else's words into it and say, because of that. And that's how, I don't know what you call it. It's not necessarily double talk, but it's idiocy to think that was what the intent was. Okay. The amount of shells we had made a difference in how much hunting we could do or what we could hunt for. And maybe it is pennies on the dollar to go out and have ammo for your weapons, but how many pennies for each shell? And then what it brings to the table. People today have it pretty easy. They can walk in a grocery store and buy anything they want, pretty much. Back then, not so. So. I used to tell that. Do you guys ever remember when I told that story about what happens with a big fish? You put it in a small pond. I'm going to give you a little scenario of it. I'll try to make it quick and not as boring. But you throw a big fish in a small pond, and it goes out there. This feed source are the minnows that are in there, because the big fish can't feed on a fish anywhere near its size. They're cannibalistic. So they're out hunting. But the pond is so small that it can't even support that big fish. And the fish that used to go out in there before he was to feed on the minnows, now they feed off the scraps of the big fish, because he's bigger and faster, can take whatever he wants out of that pond. Pretty soon, all the minnows are gone. And the fish that followed the big fish that fed off his scraps, now they become his meal. So what happens then? Well, when they're all gone, the big fish has the pond to himself. And he's going to have to find another pond, or he's going to suffer the same fate that all the minnows did. And that is pretty much how nature works in life. And once this big fish is fed off from everything that's in that pond, he meets the fate of what he caused himself. And so goes the population in a small town. Similar to that. And they have to leave or suffer the fate of what they caused. And there you go. The fate of a small pond with a big fish in it. That's a natural way of elimination. Let's see. Heineken says, I don't know how Guapo held such restraint. I'd like to think I would have, but I know myself enough. I'm always with me. I would have come unglued instantly. Guapo, believe it or not, and we know that Guapo can fight, okay? He got hurt when he fell fighting some guy when Guapo slipped on ice and fell down and hurt his knee. Now, Guapo won't back down from anything, but he knows Jeremy. And he knows if he'd have took a swing, no matter what, Jeremy would have kept him in court and went out and got a protection order against him. And he would no longer have the freedom to be in the same place to bid on lockers that Jeremy is. And remember, they live in the same area up there in Ohio. Guapo was around Jeremy a lot. He was not about to give up his job to go after somebody. And he didn't have a problem defending himself, okay? He just backtracked if Jeremy really wanted to go after him, Jeremy was doing this for show and to show cause so that he could stop Guapo from making a living. I want you to look at this from the standpoint. This is looking at him from the outside. Guapo, I believe, is much stronger than Jeremy. And he's certainly quicker. Being as young as he is, he could fight for a long period of time. Jeremy's up there in age where he gets winded very quickly. He also has high blood pressure. Guapo knows how to box. Personally, I don't think Jeremy would stand a chance against him. I think he'd show how dumb he is if he actually stood and fight with Guapo. Guapo showed that he had intelligence and patience. He knows karma will take place eventually. He also knows that if Jeremy was serious about going after him, he'd find a spot where they would be doing it in private, not out in public. And believe me, that day is probably not going to happen. And Guapo's not going to waste his time trying to sneak up and find a spot where he can catch him by himself. Okay. Think that Guapo is business oriented, and he's going to do what he has to do to keep his living going on, and he's not going to give it up for somebody that acts like a fool around him. That's my opinion. And I really hope you don't think that Guapo is running. Absolutely, he was not. He was laughing while he was backing up. I mean, what kind of a fool goes after a laughing man that he could stop at any time and clock you? I mean, Jeremy was a fool, absolute fool doing that. And he showed it. And you need to look at it from the standpoint if you were in Guapo's shoes. If you could have somebody going after you, calling you names, and you can laugh as you backtrack around a parking lot. If you notice, Guapo was ready any minute to drop him. Guapo did not turn around and run like a scalded cat. He laughed, backed up. Jeremy coming forward wasn't getting close enough to get clocked. If you think about it, if Jeremy was serious, he'd have been right on top of him. Okay, so take that and think about it a little bit. I think it's very true, Ray. I guess I would have to take that into account, the history, etc. But when I first watched that video, I certainly felt Dork Hales would have had it coming for sure. Deep respect for Guapo. Hales has it coming, no doubt about it. But wouldn't you be embarrassed if you were calling somebody out and trying to get them into a fight, and they're walking backwards, laughing at you, and you're coming forward? Now, which one is the fool out of the two? You tell me. I'm old enough that I can see through the bullshit, and yeah, there again you go. It's content. And if you notice, when he was making fun of Guapo, he was way down on the other side of where all the people were, using a couple of fingers to harass Guapo over apparently his anatomy. And Guapo's ex-girlfriend and him were discussing something and Jeremy was the only one laughing, I think. But think about this. Would you talk to an ex of somebody that you were harassing and talk about their sexual anatomy? I mean, think about this. What kind of a person does that in public? Do you think maybe there might be just a slight problem there? What people will do to harass others, to me, and at least in this instance, is something that I've never seen before. Okay. And they said I was strange because I had talked about how often this Jeremy likes to grab himself or discuss sexual items to the public. He can't go through a video without making some kind of a sexual innuendo. Now, let me ask you, do you do this? Do you go out there in public and discuss these things out there? I don't think it's normal. Now, you can make jokes from time to time. I understand that. I've heard him just about all the jokes. But think about the stuff that he talks about on a continual basis, even when he's in those lockers. Now, what I want you to do is look at other people that are success in the same trade as buying and selling stuff from a locker and not using swear words or innuendos. Think about that a little bit. If they see something out there, they might get a little embarrassed, but they're not going to make a subject out of it. You understand that? And they don't take a vibrator and stick it up by their mouth and pretend like it's a mic. They don't take these little covers that go over tits when you're or trying to make them bigger and lick them either. They don't do that either. I mean, think about that, folks. Do you think that, I mean, these people, they're the ones that go on there and say, they think I'm strange. Or at least they were trying to demean myself. And I don't go around talking like that. I don't go around doing anything like that. I'm in my 80s and they think I'm strange. Folks, I got news for you. I wouldn't be around if I was strange in the way that they think that they're transmitting out there to make you people believe I'm somebody I'm not. The fact they bring something up like that makes them strange. And they're all copying this guy out there. I don't understand how they've got so many around them other than they just happen to be birds of a feather. They gathered around the watering hole and they're all partaking of the Kool-Aid. That's what I think. So that's my lecture of the day and how I come to the conclusion that there is a problem out there and they are the problem. And most of you guys that come in and girls, women, you come into my channel and it's a clean talk. And we joke once in a while, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because somebody wants to say, okay, look at that penis out there or something to that effect. It's a joke. It's nothing more than that. And we don't make a show out of it. And yeah, I'm laughing about it because sometimes when somebody is so far off course, the only thing you can do is just laugh a little bit, just like Guapo did when he was backing up and Jeremy was coming forward. Who is the coward? The one that didn't want to catch up or the one that laughed when he was walking backwards? And he knows that he would have got sued if he would have stopped and clocked this guy that was coming to him. Now we know the whole story, right? Okay. There we go. Yes, when you're right, Lori, Jerm charged an 80-year-old town secretary with assault. And I don't know if you guys watched the video, but it's out there. Let's see if I can get my fingers up here, touched him like this with fingers, okay? She didn't try to swat him. She was trying to get him out of her office. She was working in there. She was intimidated. This guy, he stands over the top of her while she's working on her computer. She gets up, asks him to leave, and he is yelling at her or talking in a loud voice. She was baited. There was somebody filming this whole thing, the whole thing. Then he has been on video time after time after time. If you listen to that video in the sheriff's department, you can understand when the deputy says, "Are you sure you want to do this? You really want to do it?" And he said, "Yes, I want to do it." Would you want to admit that you're scared of an 80-year-old woman that only comes up to your shoulder? He's over twice as big as she is. By the way, she never was a clerk again. She ended up, I believe she had a stroke or a heart attack, and she still isn't 100% back and probably never will be. This guy goes after an 80-year-old woman or somebody near that age that was filling a spot that, quite frankly, there weren't too many that would want to fill the spot in that little town, following the orders of a mayor and a consul. And he was going after her because he was having to pay too much. Now he did all this because of an increase of what, 20 or 30 bucks for the month or whatever it was. It was not her idea. She can't just out of the clear blue sky change your water bill. She can't do that. Yet this guy was making content for his video. As far as I'm concerned, I know who is wrong. But when you cross a T or dot an I, and he was willing to go after her like that, what if she was a millionaire? Don't you think she would have fought that and put him in his place? And the judge would have laughed him right out of court. So that's just to let you know. And don't forget, the landlady that owned the warehouse, how he treated her relatives and her, and to this day doesn't have anything good to say about anything like that. And he never tells the whole story. Or else, what about the missing trailer that he made content for 2 years and finally got out where it was? What do you think about that? I mean, you got to think about stuff. What about the bucket that he talks about? Those people that visited his property, ask him what they shit in. Okay. Ask him if he has a system that would meet code right now. You know, the things he accuses John and Michelle for not having, just think about what he really didn't have there. Drinkable water. He had a couple wells, but he did have city water come in there. And he got in one heck of a fight with the city over it. He wanted a 2-inch line coming in and a meter that met those standards. He insisted on it, and they wanted more money because of the standard he was asking. What would be considered commercial, not residential, and therefore they come along and said, "Well, if you're going to do that, then we're going to have to get more money." And it's not because he used less water or more water; it's because they have to have the ability to provide that water before they can provide the service. Now, a lot of you are going to say, "Well, bullshit, that's not true." Well, all right. If that's the way you feel about it. Every city has to watch what they agree to let be built on their property or service. And if they can't meet the standard to provide that, they can't let them build, whether it's a factory or school or anything else. You have to be able to provide it. So if you have a 2-inch meter, that increases the availability of water. Not that they would ever use that water, but what would be possible for them to run through that line. And so for everybody out there that thinks that city or town was way out and picking on him, think about how he picked on the people that run the city. Okay. How you doing there, Betty? Yep, I agree. Miss Lori. Yeah, Kevin says, I was secondhand embarrassed watching him do that to Mary on cam to boot. Ashamed. It is despicable for an adult person to go after an older lady and do that. She's not a big woman, folks. Yeah. And she's up there in age, and she was trying to do a service for the city. Dan says it was all for the views, and views equal money, and that is correct. That's my opinion. I have the same opinion you do, Dan. Lori, are you doing your stand-up act? That's what Kevin J says. Yes, it was sick, Betty. I agree with you. Marla says the heaters keep blowing a breaker back again. Are you sure your breaker is okay? Or is it just pulling too much amperage? Miss Laurie says, here, I'll let you listen to this. Why did the bicycle fall over? It was too tired. It's funny and it was clean. That's good, Lori. Yeah, now listen to this. He was bragging on his channel and online that he was using the property for commercial purposes. He tried to get AT&T to let him use their optic cable for his YouTube renters. Yeah. Yeah, but he didn't want to be charged a commercial rate for the water. What do you call a fish without an eye? FSH? Oh, no. I had to set that long to understand that. I can't believe you got me again. Okay. What do you call a pig that practices karate? A pork chop. Okay, I get that one. Dan says of all of Germ's problems were brought on by himself, but he will never admit it. He don't call them problems. They're opportunities. Believe me, he has never thought about them being problems, the things he does. They're all opportunities. Yeah. I want you to think, Marla, if he was to do all those things that you talk about on that property, for one thing, how would he be able to do any kind of a sewer system? The only thing he could do is if he was going to have RVs out there, he would have to have what they call a bladder for the sewer system. The water table is way up there. The other thing he could do is build the ground up, but he can't do that because it's low-lying wetlands. And to change the height in there, he has to have a federal permit or a state permit that runs off federal lines, one of the two, federal guidelines. It's not as easy as 1, 2, 3. And I'm sure he didn't think through any of that before he started telling you what he's going to do. In his mind, money will buy his way down any path that he wants, whether it's legal or not. And that's an opinion that I hold, and I think he thinks he can get away with about anything. And so far, he's put a lot of pressure on people, whether it's like myself, through a lawsuit. Whether I win or lose, it's going to cost me money out of my pocket for legal fees. And he said over several times in the last 2 years that he's not there to win the case necessarily, it's to bankrupt those people that he sues. At this point, he has several people that he's suing in more than one lawsuit. But if you add all the lawsuits up together for people involved, whether it's double or one time, it's over 20 open lawsuits. So think about this a little bit. And when he talks about things, he does have the money. He has access to the money. It's what he really means, is because the people that follow him are supplying him with the finances to be able to go after everybody out there that he feels like that have slighted him in some way by not agreeing with his policies. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's truth, or at least that's how I see it. And if I can see it that way, I'm wondering why more people don't see it that way. So, yep, it was a rant. That's okay. Yeah, the leach field, John, I understand that. But a leach field has to be available. So if your water table is up to a certain point, okay, then you can't put a leach field in unless you build the ground up so that you can provide that leach field. And I believe yours might even be built up a little bit from what I see through pictures. I don't know exactly how they put it in. I'm pretty sure yours was approved by the state before it was ever instituted, to get a permit for it. In most places, if you want to have a campground, okay, for it's temporary. You can't, not on a permanent basis, okay. You can have what they call a bladder, an approved bladder on top of the ground to dump your sewage in, and you have somebody else dump the stuff out of there into an authorized sewage disposal, wherever a plant is, it'll accept it, which could be another city or whatever. But that is legal to have a bladder under permit, obviously, and only for temporary. You can't have permanent residence. Okay, it's come and go personnel coming to your property. It's not any different than having a porta-john itself. Okay, those are legal. Sometimes there's a limit to what you can do. It may be a time limit through a permit of building or to temporary construction on a job site. Back when I grew up, it was legal to have an outhouse. Dig a deep hole, put the outhouse over the top of it, and when it filled up, you put a ground cover over the top of it, and you dug another hole. Simple as that, very easy. A little bit says he wanted a business line, and that's what he got. And the water was $30 more. Yeah, it was very minimal. He probably found out the property is no good. I think the properties would be very good. You know, there's enough area so that he can have a real nice home on it. He's got a long access to the property. He can do whatever he wants in that, if it's permitted. He can have all the privacy he wants. He can have fencing. What he can't do is he can't destroy the natural land there. And the laws in the last 4 years have changed in Florida about wetlands. It's not a big deal following them. It's just that you're going to be limited to what you're going to be able to do there. And if you want to have commercial business on there, depending on what type of business it is, you might have to have more facilities for a restroom. Okay, so there's a lot of things you have to look into. Some people, they're not that smart to think ahead of time. You have to be able to plan what's going on. He claims he's very intelligent, but I'm wondering if he really looked into all the legalities of that ground before he bought it, or did he think he could just do what he wanted? Maybe he thought because it's a small town, he wouldn't be bothered. So, and that's only a maybe. You know, you're talking about my opinion or as I see it. Okay. I like that. How many lawyer jokes are there? Only 3. The rest are true stories. This is Tom Selleck says, what kind of pants does a psychic wear? A paranormal pants. Okay. Cat lady. He bought that property because he heard about a highway going in, but the highway isn't happening. So now he lost some money he thought he was going to make. You know, even at that, cat lady, highway going through, they're meeting a certain standard to be able to build. Okay. So if you're going to bring in a commercial enterprise into that city, you have to be able to permit it. You still have to meet the wetlands minimum code, okay? And it might not be that easy. When you take, let's say 70 acres and change it, okay, you affect every bit of the property around that. So how do you build it up enough to build on without affecting property next to you? Because if you can't guarantee the property next to you is not going to get changed, then you can't build. And any one of the neighbors could have stopped him at any time and had it put on hold for virtually forever for very little bit amount of money, saying they don't meet codes or standards. And just maybe, he found out he could make plenty of money by starting an argument with a neighbor. Let me see what happened. Oh yeah, I remember that older woman that actually was part of the estate that sold the property. Well, apparently he was pounding on her door, and he put a video out like that. And she was not feeling very well. In fact, when she tried to get to the door, she fell. She's just an elderly lady again. And Jeremy got called out on it by her, I don't know if it was her grandson or her son, and Jeremy was challenging him, similar to what he challenged John out on the road out there that day. So, you're talking about a neighbor that acts hateful, at least in his attitude that he shows, and he films it and he puts it on here, and people love drama, so they watch it. And he made money off of getting after an old woman that was having trouble getting out of bed and fell and got hurt. And it was okay with him. He didn't care. He was told what happened. And instead of being sorrowful about it, he goes after the person that was telling him what happened. Now, think about that a little bit. Another neighbor there, he's suing, that was part of the estate, threatening him. And apparently he had, in my mind, violated a law when he recorded them and without their permission. So all this stuff should add up to what kind of a person this is. It's my opinion of what he is. He don't like my opinion, and that is one of the reasons I'm being sued by this guy. The big reason is he makes a lot of money off of me by calling me names and putting semi-threats out there. I mean, it's not a threat when he says, hey, I'm going to knock on their door, and there he's going to go running across that yard crying like a baby. Right. And then when I called him out a little bit on it, there was another thing. And the reason I say I nailed it down was because he responded in a way that shows that it was intent. I was one of them that was intended for, because he was saying all. And I just happened to be one of a list. And by the way, Super Dave actually put the list out there of the people that he felt was involved in this threat. Okay. So everything was put out in the open. And this guy will deny it to the day that he's no longer around. And why do I say that? Because when he runs into a brick wall that he can't jump over or can't buy somebody to break it down, he'll leave. Simple as that. He won't leave saying he's defeated. His mind don't work that way. Kind of like he's going to sell all that land out there, and he puts a ridiculous price on it where nobody is going to buy it because it's not worth anywhere near that. And he's blaming the neighbor for that. So, come on. Everybody's seen through that immediately. That's what I call right on the verge of absolute IQ defamation. He does not have anything upstairs to think about or with. Again, that's my opinion. That's how I see it. Yeah, Marla says, that's why Belinda is the town clerk. She's going to permit everything for him. The problem with her replacement, Jason, was he gave Travis a permit without proper setup on the property. Ms. Tom Selleck said he stifled his channel by making it about neighbors. He hasn't grown much since, has it? Actually, it has. When he moved in there, he had celebrated having 500,000 followers. And with an extremely short time, his channel grew by about 40% or something like that. So he was able to grow it very quickly. And then it came to a plateau. And if you look out there, the channels that dwell into hate very much, they hit a plateau. They come up very quickly, then they hit a plateau because it survives on drama. But how much drama can you provide? And if it's boring, let's say that most of it is because of neighbors. There's a lot of channels out there that do it in a better way. There's one out there that's actually funny, okay? And it's a woman that's around late 30s or 40s that harasses the neighbor. And they're having more fun doing it than anything else. And they're both making money off from this supposed neighbor interaction. And they both laugh about it. And they do have followers on it. And they've done it in a way where it's entertaining. But is it really real? I don't know. I've seen it on there. It's been on there for years, and it's survived. This one, because it is more hate than anything, it'll only survive so long, because when it's the same thing daily, over and over, how many times can you tell the story? Oh, let me see. Oh, let's take the deposition. It's been told over and over and over, starting with Jeremy. Tug and Megan. That lawyer out there, Rickert, or whatever his name is. And he spun it out for hours, okay, on his channel. Pretty soon it gets wore out. People have heard it, seen it, have a different way of looking at it. They know that Michelle was harassed, that there's no way that a real judge would allow that kind of stuff to go on without getting the lawyer aside and telling him where he screwed up. And the fact that Michelle was asking them to wait until she could get a lawyer, that she actually had one hired that was going to help her out, that all they had to do was wait one more day. That's all. Not a big deal. Instead, they took her, put the pressure on her, and she had a hard time going through that. And they had her crying multiple times. Having a deposition, the intent shouldn't be to make a person cry. And if you notice, they like to use over and over and over about her saying that her mother was dying. And then she come back later and said that, no, she's not dying. And what had happened is they were regulating her. So there was moments where she was actually dying and moments where they brought her back. Now, I lost my wife in the hospital. And she had bled out at least 7 times, to the point where it was, it actually ended up taking her down. Okay. That's how she died. She bled to death. I guess you could say that they had told me a number of times that she was about gone, that she was dying. I think it was the 3rd time that she had started to bleed out very bad. Her veins actually collapsed. And that's when they transferred her by helicopter. And I didn't know if she was going to make it or not, but I know it was very troubling. And if I would have had a depot during the middle of this whole thing, I would not have been able to hold it together, I can tell you, because the stress and worry tears you apart inside. And they were doing that to her during this depot. I don't see where any part of that was right. And to this day, within the last 2 weeks, they're still putting that depot out there and harassing Michelle over it. How many times are we going to put her on a whipping post and whip her? How many times does she have to take that treatment? That's how I see it, folks. And it almost, I can cry over it because I know what it's like to have somebody that is on the edge of death and you don't know how to correct it. And it's in and out. And I want you guys to think about it, if you were losing a child or a parent, how you would feel. And about the time your heart starts to heal, where you can accept things, that somebody brings it back up and whips you with it again. Is that fair? No, it's not. It doesn't matter whether you like or respect Michelle in any way. What matters is it fair to take somebody apart like that on a regular basis? I know a lot of people that would rather be shot than to have to be beat up like that on a continuous basis. It takes your mentality and it just pulls it to the so tight you're waiting for it to break. People that do that should be ashamed of themselves, because it is mental torture. And I don't care what you say. You can't convince me any different than that. Mental torture is what it is. That's another rant I put today. I would hope my opinion means something, that we could look at things as if we were walking in their shoes. And how would we look at it? And I've got people out there that hate me for my very thoughts on that matter and others. And they come into my channel on a regular basis, and they all have this same thing. Well, Ray, why do you eliminate people off your channel? As if it's a sin. You know, after a while, you get tired of hearing the same old crap. You really do. And because you think in a different manner than what they do, they get mad at you because they're out there trying to beat you over the head over and over and over about your opinion. I doubt if any of them ever sat in a pew and listened to a preacher. But maybe they did and they didn't understand. Blind, can't hear. You'll hear that in the Bible. Okay, that's my opinion again, how I see it. Yes, he saw. I believe that, Dan, and wholeheartedly. And in fact, if I remember right, Guapo had said as much when he said that Jeremy had talked to him about buying property down there. It's a gold mine. All you got to do is start a fight with a neighbor. And he didn't do it with just one neighbor. Okay, he did it with multiple neighbors. The people that sold land to him, the estate. I bet you if they were there, if they could make that choice today to sell it or not sell it to him, I'd almost bet they'd probably say no. We don't want him to have that property. Michelle's mother was legally dead and they rescued her. Normal people understand the reference, which is why Jeremy didn't get traction using it as another attack venue. He's used it recently and shared that with other people that are doing his bidding for him. There again, it's how I see it, in my opinion. The people I named in here have went over it multiple times. It is not fair, and they take it out of context. Caddy says arrogant. Yes. Dan says I still say a lot of the subs are people with multi accounts and bots. I don't doubt that at all, said Cat Lady. Yeah, he's getting, there's times where it is less than the 25 to 95,000. It really depends on what his title is and thumbnails. It'll go up and down with that. But I want you to think of this, Dan. Since he started that, he increased his viewership by over 240,000 people. And between 10 and 30% of those are the ones probably that are coming back in opening up his views, the count there during people that are watching it. So what has he really gained out of that 240,000 people he increased when he went to this hate type viewership? Yeah. He used to have over 100,000 on his videos. Yes. A lot of people got tired of watching what he's put out there. So, and I'll give you an example. Two Leads in a Pod, a lot of times, if you look at it, she's close to the 100% of subs that are following her channel on any one time. And what is the percentage of Jeremy's? Why doesn't it reach that 100% mark? And when was the last time that he had 100% people that are subs on there that actually came to view his channel? Let's look at the percentages, because that's what is important. Now, he can make money. If you have 50,000 people that come into your channel, you can make pretty good money. It's a good living, 50,000 people on YouTube. especially with all the fingers he's got for making money. Yeah, Tammy says nobody should be treated that way. Those people are broken, evil people. Yeah. He's still making, you're right, Dan. He's making a boatload of money off his videos. He's not going to change it anytime soon that I'm aware of. Listen, just because I'm on here talking, okay, those guys are going to hit me with everything that's as stupid as they can find and try to take every word I say apart and show you how senile they think I am. In truth, I'm in pretty good shape for my age. I'm in my 80s. I'm not kidding you about taking a logic test, and I'm up in the 96th percentile of people that are willing to be tested for logic, their logic thinking. There's nothing wrong with me as far as that aspect. Do I remember everything I did as a engineer? No. I used to walk down plants that had thousands of penetrations, and I could tell you where it was off from the number. Down in Louisiana, I had 11,000 some odd electrical penetrations in the walls. And from the number, I could tell you where they were at. The mechanical penetrations was over 6,500 of them. And we're talking plumbing and HVAC, okay? That's mechanical. In the number itself, I could tell you the elevation it was at and the location in that plant. And it was a big plant. It was a big nuclear plant. You can't do that if you're stupid. You can't. Now, I wouldn't want to go through there and do the same thing. You know, walk down engineer has a lot of activity you're doing. You're climbing up things. You're walking miles and miles and miles in a day, and you have a piece of paper or a tablet in your hand that you're trying to write things down quickly, and then you have to go back to your office and make it so it's legible for somebody else and turn it into somebody else for another engineer to look at and stuff. That's what a walk down engineer does. Today, no, I don't have that capability. But my logic, which gives me the means to walk around and make decisions, it's still up there in the very top. There's nothing wrong with my mind, the way it works. The difference between them and myself is I'm retired and I'm not trying to make money off my channel. This is just a hobby, that's all. Their income is off that channel, and they have to be able to make somebody believe there's something wrong with me so that they can make money off them calling it out. After a while, people are going to be able to see through it that I'm not quite as dumb as what they think I am. And the fact that I'm just another guy up there in age trying to walk the path of life. That's it. I'm not Jesus Christ. And if you think I'm preaching, I'm not. I'm hoping for the second coming of Jesus. I hope it comes soon. Oh boy. I try to lead as normal a life as I can. It's too bad people have to make it out that I'm not normal and that I'm not living a life that they would prefer. Well, I'm retired. I have had a pretty decent time. Last year was the worst year I've had in my entire life. Not because of what they did or said, but because I no longer have my life partner with me. That's what. I've come out of the fog and I'm awake. I'm going to tell you something. It's been tough. You know, the quiet times tear you up. It does. When you get to, in the last couple of weeks between having a university, goodness sake. See, here I am stumbling over my own words, but anniversary and her birthday, all within a couple of weeks. Man, it's tough. I've been with her all my life and celebrated all those things. And now I can't celebrate them with her. I can still celebrate them, but not with her. She's not here. And it dawned on me finally. I mean, there's no getting away from it. She's gone. And all I can do is accept it and try to live life as it is, as it comes to me. And these people They're out there doing everything they can to make me feel worse than I already do. Gentlemen, ladies out there, I don't think they can. I don't think they can make me feel worse than I already do. What they're doing is so minor. It's a grain of sand on the beach. That's all the difference it makes. That they do it to other people probably bothers me worse than what they do to me. It doesn't take a smart person to go out there and call other people names. It doesn't. Or to pretend like they guess that there's something wrong with that person. No, any idiot can do that. People with bad manners, there's no excuse for that. Gee. Oh, Lord, help us. All right, that was my biggest rant so far. I don't want people to go out of this feeling bad about other people necessarily, but you have your right to feel when somebody's doing something wrong that they actually are doing something wrong. And money itself will drive people into doing things like that. And when the reality comes that you see what it really is, maybe you'll walk away from it and look for something good. If you went over and watched Jeebus on his channel, he can talk and smile and do all kinds of things. And he's got this little boy that he thinks his dad's the greatest thing in the world, his mom. And he looks like Jeebus. There's no mistaking. He is a chip off the block. And they have fun doing the thing that they do. And they have over 1 million viewers right now. Think about that. This guy's having fun. He's making a living off from it. And it's family oriented. Kids can come in and watch his channel without worrying. You don't have to cover their ears up or their eyes. He makes a clean channel really clean. And he does it with more people than what Jeremy has. Jeremy can't copy him and do it the same thing. Think about that. This young fella has blasted him out of the water. So there you go. Shows you the difference between personalities and accomplishments. This guy he had a goal and he hit it. And he hit it hard to get there. That last 100,000 didn't come easy. And I come on here a little over a month ago and said, hey, he's getting close. Help him out. Get in there. And I do like watching him. And he is, if you really want entertainment about people that buy and sell lockers, I really say go over there and look at it. All right. And that's a positive, not a negative, by the way. Let's see, what else we got here? Yes. Dan says, I'll go check it out. You need to. And you'll see others out there that do it the same way that Jeebus does and his wife. He's not the only one. Okay. Normally you can say if they're messing with me, they're leaving others alone, not these people. Once they latch on to you, they're going to bring you back all the time, and they do on a regular basis. They love to take somebody like me and make fun of me. My age makes me stand out somewhat because there's not many of us that make it this age. I'm a few years older than what I was expected to live, just a few years. Most of my classmates are gone. I have very few of the people I graduated with that are still around, much less that remember me. Can you imagine? We had a blog that we used to get on so we could remember the things, okay? The people that were plus or minus a couple of years of our graduation class. And one of these haters found me on there and decided to start a line on there. Now, this is a line that we don't or didn't allow any haters, anything like that. It was just made to bring memories to light. Now, I pulled what I had on there that was starting to gather dust off so that the rest of them don't have to go through this hate crap that I see on a daily basis. There's not that many people in there anymore that are my age, and there's no reason to leave my chats up on that channel. But it goes to show you how far these people will go. You know, we're talking about people that brought my father's obit to this channel. They put a side-by-side picture of my dad and myself. And the picture they showed was about him when he was pretty close to my age. And that we do look a lot alike. You know, if you look at us from the front, the difference is I'm a lot taller than he was and, you know, heavier. Every generation seems to be a little bigger and have more weight on it. They went after my wife's obit before I could get home from the funeral. As soon as the funerals posted it, they were on there. And I know you guys don't believe it, but I have paperwork out in my dining room. I have a cabinet out there. And in that cabinet, I have paperwork that I'm settling my wife's estate. And I have the correspondence from the funeral home over that matter. If you look in the paper, you cannot make a comment. You can't go to the school and make that comment. The people that loved my wife all her life cannot make comments about her death. Okay, they can't wish her good thoughts because I did not, and I do not want people that have never met her, never seen her, do that about somebody that's deceased. This same type of people decided to make a mockery of a memorial in that little town of 100. And there's probably not anybody in that town that did not know this guy. Okay. Several generations have lived in that little town from that family. They didn't deserve the hate that was generated over that. And even to this last week, it has been a center of attention for these channels that follow Jeremy. My opinion, okay? This is how I see it. They think it's okay. And they put something on the property next to there that they think is a great deal. You know, I doubt if they really believe in our Lord, because they wouldn't do things like that if they did. And that's just my opinion. That's how I see it. I don't know of anybody that could see it any different unless they're a disciple of the devil in some way. It is demonic to do things like that, tear it apart, make fun of it, not let people have memorialize those that came before him and passed. Nope, I don't see it. And the people that follow him after all this stuff is going on, that in itself should give you an idea of what is in this guy's mind. Okay? I think that better be the last of that subject I talk about, because it bothers my heart to even talk about it. I lived too long to see something like that. I did. And I'm not kidding that I wish that when my wife was called home with the Lord, I wish the Lord would have got me and took me there at the same time. I didn't wish this, or for my wife to go by herself, and I never even thought about it. But boy, have I thought about it since. And I'm laughing about it because there's just nothing I can do about it. But at least I know that I can't. These people out here that are spreading that bullshit, I guess I think that they can turn the world around to their way of thought, that they can justify what they're doing. No, they just have no realization of what the damage that they've done to this world. But they're sure having fun with me, aren't they? Okay, well, there's another rant. Larry says, I was enraged about all that, and nothing I could do. Purely disgusting. First time I cried, really cried about something on the internet. Big hugs and sending love to you, Ray. Thank you, Miss Lori. Bearded, this is John said, Bearded, that place was on Lower Wacker Drive in Chicago. I can't think of the name right now. I've been there. I'm not sure where he's talking about. I thought it was Chicago, man. I thought it was Chicago on that skit. I missed a good old days with Belushi and shit and Aykroyd. Back in the day, Bearded, the crew that I had worked on refurbishing their stage there where they were doing their skits. I know exactly where it's at, and I know where the place is where you'd go down in the ground where they had their hamburger lunches and stuff. It's right around the corner from where that studio is there. And that studio's in the top of the building up there, by the way. And you'd be surprised how clunky that floor really looked up there when that was first started, Saturday Night Live. It was very tight quarters and looked more like a warehouse than it did anything else. But just an old building. It was right outside the L up there. And the people that have been around there very long know what I'm talking about. A little bit says the family that owned the ranch are Mormon. So I said, I tried to understand, but I do not. I no longer want to understand their side. I understand their side completely. It's called money, love of money. Tammy says, love you, Ray, sending you big hugs and prayers. Caddy says, that makes no sense. I guess you did the homework. Bearded, no Pepsi, Coke. No cheeseburgers, hamburgers. Yeah. Oh my God, that was so funny. I think I got to go look that up when you're done. They're ready. A little bit says, Caddy, yep, German's just saying he's Baptist because a lot of people don't like Mormons. He preached in the Baptist church. That's why he calls himself a Baptist. You might want to ask him why he doesn't preach there anymore. Gee whiz. Was it the day after his divorce or filing a divorce that he become no longer an executive in Skyview Ranch? It is a Christian camp attached to the Baptist church. And there is videos out there of him. Actually, I can't remember if it was a video, but I remember hearing one of his sermons. And I can tell you, after hearing that, there's no way I'd ever go and listen to him preach anywhere. And that's the way I see it. That's how I feel about it. It says, oh my God, Tug is trying to call out Leslie for shit he is doing and has done. Oh my goodness. Oh, brother. Anytime you want to know what he's like, go back and listen to some of the stuff he used to say on the Johnny Depp trial. Just, you would think that he has not changed his script whatsoever. The verbiage, the things he says, the evil that's in his speeches, it's all there in the Johnny Depp trial. And he was getting fed information from that lawyer. That's how he got his fame. If you go back much further, you see a lot about him. All I can say is, if you want to know what somebody is, go back into their history a little bit. I don't know if you noticed it, but a lot of these people that follow Jeremy, this is as I see it, okay? they seem to have trouble with women in general. Uh, there's one channel out there that loves to show women at their worst. Okay. If we were being shown at our worst, nobody would love us at all. I can tell you that. None of us are what do you call angels? None of us are. We've all had our bad moments. But when you take somebody that goes in there and shows only bad moments of a woman or a guy, what's on their mind? Why there's one guy out there, I can't understand why he hates women. And you're talking about a guy that has a blow-up doll that shows up on his views. Okay. I never took much stock in it because, quite frankly, it's nothing more than those things they have at a bachelor's party. You know, it's a blow-up doll, and it's got its mouth wide open, lots of lipstick on it, blonde hair a lot of times, or most of the time. It's part of the balloon effect. Until I seen here about 6-8 weeks ago, I realized that he transmits out of his bedroom. And here's this doll with his legs up in the air. And I laughed. And then I thought, I don't know if I could laugh about that or not. I mean, a joke is a joke, but how far do you go? And we're talking about a guy that has no love for women, apparently. Well, let me tell you something. I want you, if you go back at his channel, for whatever reason it is, can you show me a time that he ever said something positive about some female? And you know, some of his biggest followers are females expressing themselves. Lord help those gals. Somebody that hates their gender, or at least, you know, in my opinion, how I see it, and they're in that channel rubbing up against him. Oh, Lord. Oh, heck. Jeremy uses church to keep his followers fired up. That equal money, just another con man. I agree with that, and that's how I see it. You know, I get nailed for even thinking something like that on here because they say, oh, you dare talk about a preacher that way or a religious person like this. Maybe you got to go back and research some of the stories in the Bible and see what you're dealing with before you come back and get after me. And I'm not saying that for you to actually judge me as a good person. I'm, you know, a sinner just like everybody else that's out there. So hypocrisy runs rampant with the minions. I was told that I was a hypocrite by some of the followers from Jeremy's show. And they actually, I think, got it from, I don't know if it was Tug and Megan on one of their shows, because I didn't practice everything that's in the Bible. Everybody that practices everything that's in the Bible, please hold your hand up. All right. It's funny. I would have to agree that there are a lot of people that claim to be a Christian and hold their hands up. To answer that, I believe I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ, that he's my Savior. I also know that I'm a sinner. And because of my Christianity, that's how I found out how bad a Christian I might be. And it behooves me to do the very best I can to not be that way if I can. Christ is the only reason, probably, that when I get to heaven, it'll be through Jesus Christ, because I believe in John 3:16. There's nothing wrong with being a Christian or trying to be a Christian. There is something wrong with the person that calls you out as a hypocrite because you don't meet all the standards of a Christian. I would suggest for them to go back and look at the Bible and then hold their hand up telling me that they actually are so pure that they don't do anything wrong. They follow everything that's in there to be a Christian. Okay, go ahead and do it. You're going to be holding your hand up a long time before Christ sees it. Oh. Miss Lori says, I'm spiritual in Christ. I'm not talking about myself, but Lori is. Yes, believing in Christ, it's a big step for anybody out there because it means that you're going to do your best to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. That's what it means. In the fact that he's the only way you're going to get to heaven and be with our Lord. It is a big step, and it's hard. It's very hard to follow all those things. But I'd rather follow Christ than I would be a disciple of the devil. I can't imagine anybody wanting to be in that group. And when I look out at the haters out there, and it seems overwhelming to me, but I would say if there are Christians there, they're probably, if there was a judgment, they would probably be at the bottom of the judgment. And there may very well be some Christians there that don't quite understand what it takes to just take the first step to in reality of that. And of course, that's how I see it. And I don't claim to be perfect at all, not even close. I'm just telling you, I follow the Christian life the best I can. And I do believe that Jesus is my Savior. And I believe in God, period. That's it. I believe people are misinformed out there. And those people that hate me so bad, they're doing everything they can to make you misinformed about me. What you see is what I am. You know, Gabe says it all the time. What you see is what he is. And Gabe is as honest as they come. And he's right up front with it. And he's a good person. He has a good spirit and the whole works. But it's as foolish, to think that somebody's going to be perfect as to those that out there and try to preach that they're perfect, because they're not. They've really got a misconception of themselves. And there's nothing that gives them the right to go out there and judge me as to not being or doing unchristian things. Lord help us all. We all do unchristian things. We just have to try to change and do the best we can. Realization is that it's leading life. We're people. Oh, heck. John said, I don't see Diane Shin's name. What? Mick says, right, catch up later, Ray. Okay, Mick. Yeah, I was thinking Nine Chins was here somewhere. The more they misinform you, the more confused many get, which is where they want them to be. What they want is they want everybody's money that's out there watching their channel. That's what they want. They could give a shit less whether they really believe what they say. I've seen a lot of people in the chats out there that say that Jeremy, it's okay for him to lie and do whatever he has to do because other people deserve what they're getting. In other words, when Jeremy lies about somebody or says something wrong about him, it's okay because it's okay for him. He does not have to follow the ways of Christ or the Bible in any way. He's justified in doing what he's doing, and yet the Bible would say would differ with that completely. So you wonder how many of these people really know anything about the biblical stories or about Christ or even believe in our Lord. You can't do the things they do and follow that path. That's how I see it. Let's see here. Edie says hi. How are you doing, Edie? John says I'm moderate. I'm always in my. Tanya, you got here. Okay. Ray of Sunshine and Bone Crusher Warriors. Thank you, Tanya. Oh, heck. I haven't seen Nine Chins for a little bit on here, but I know he was. Hopefully nobody did something where Nine Chins don't show up. And I haven't noticed Leslie. Let me back up a little bit and see. When I'm talking, it's hard for me to look in here and see who's all on here. I haven't seen Leslie. She's on here. Maybe she can say hi. Tanya says, yes, a follower of Jesus Christ. Dan says, hi, Leslie. Oh, there you are. Okay. For a minute there, I thought I completely missed you in here. Thank you for the call yesterday, Leslie, from you and your hubby. It made my day better. And I'm on here today because Tanya was harassing me in a good way. She thought because I didn't answer on the chat that I was ignoring her. And I really wasn't. I had a bad week. The last couple of weeks have been rough. That's all. And I really wasn't trying to get into a mess of talking. And I don't like to, if I'm in a bad mood, I don't like to get on here and start ranting because I get carried away. You know. Nine Chins, if you're around, we come back on here and say something because if for some reason you're not showing up, it's not because that I'm not aware of you being knocked off for any reason, and you shouldn't be. Betty says she loves your videos, Leslie. So you have a fan. Oh, heck. Tanya says, yeah, I was. Yeah, Tanya, I'm trying to stay on the good side of you so that one of these days I can have a lunch or a supper with you. You're close enough where I can meet you halfway. We have a picnic this summer, spring or something. Two leads. He has his emoji and his POC. Oh, Nine Chins might be working. That's what Edie said. More than likely, you're right. Tanya says, I didn't get the hint, Ray. I'm a bit slow. Oh, Tanya, hopefully, I honestly believe we're going to have a picnic together this summer sometime. We're not that far apart, and there's no reason for us not to see each other in person. It'll make the chats a lot more fun when you know somebody up close. Present Compassion, good morning. Edie says we're sleeping. So Chins might be sleeping, everybody out there. She'll come on two Lee's next time Lee's is up, and we'll be able to ask her. Two Lee says, I guess Ray can't see you. 8 Chins. I don't know what's going on there. Thule says some people can see you though. That's weird. I know that. At least I thought I seen you on here earlier, and I know I talked to you when you're on Lisa's channel, and I'm able to say hi to you, and you're able to say hi to me. So for that to happen in this channel just don't make sense. Thule said, oh my God, did I just say shut up, Ray? I don't think so. Oh, the time since I was waiting for your email and haven't got it yet. That's why the harassment. Oh, okay. I got to go back and look at my emails. See what's going on there. But I'll make sure it happens. Shadow ban. Nobody, I haven't seen anybody in here ban Night Chins, and I haven't. Yes. Yep. Yes, Lisa, you can do that. I was thinking you already did, but I might have missed it. Bruce, glad to see you. I'm hoping you're doing well too. I know every once in a while I mention what you've went through and what you're trying to do and stuff, and you've truly took a beating from that group, and I don't understand it. I just don't understand it how when somebody is helping another person out, for free, why they and their families are harassed to the point where they're scared to walk out of their door. And the threats that come to them from so many people and so many times. Yeah, Bearded, it's good to see you too. You're one of the reasons I came on here today, if you remember right. What did happen to Tamara, Marla? You're right, I haven't seen her either for a long time. Okay, I'll check my email. I'm gonna have to do it a different time. I'm afraid if I mess with this too much, I'm going to lose it. But I'll check it later, Lisa. Well, Bruce, I hope that you don't have to hire a lot of security. It seems like that group of people that's out there harassing everybody right now is getting bigger, not smaller. And at least the harassment coming my way is more of a daily thing now. And some of them are pretty hateful, and they get upset with me because I ban them from my channel. And it's getting, there's a lot of people in there, by the way. They're just, I don't know why, but hateful people seem to band together so much. It's just one of the things they do. Meredith says, anybody taking the applications for security out there? Lucinda said there's 80 people watching right now. Okay. Edie says, like minds, I guess. Usually, and I'm not sure, I've been on here quite a while. I'm going to have to get off pretty quick. It's going to be lunchtime. I came on at 9:30 this morning, so this is a long time, and people are going to get awful bored. And if I've been on here this long, do you realize I just give them enough fodder over there for all these haters for a whole week? I guess they can go on every night and stretch this out to a week's show, a bunch of videos out there. I don't know, maybe what'll happen, we'll all be famous, and maybe we'll set a new record for lawsuits, and we certainly set new records for opinions. And the fact that we're not blind and that we can hear and things like that, that we don't have things that would limit us on our abilities. In other words, we're nothing like what they describe. We are what we are, or who we are. Capturing all the screenshots they can. Yeah, that includes the chat. They love to ruffle the feathers of the chat. I mean, I want you to think about something. It hasn't been that long ago that I think it was Jeremy, an old man like me. Sometimes you have to think about it, and you have to say, I think, okay, rather than anything else, so that they know you have something up there that you're working with. That he had said that anybody that came as a witness in up there for their trials against Michelle, that he was going to use those transcripts for him in future lawsuits. Now, to me, that's tampering with witnesses. It's trying to make, it's a threat as far as I'm concerned. Now, how somebody can do that, I have no idea, because I thought it was against the law. But maybe I should stand corrected. Maybe I better look it up and see just how far you can go to keep witnesses from testifying against you in future cases, to see if when they say something like this, is it a reality that they can actually do? And is that why more people haven't come forward, is they're scared to death that they're going to be involved in a lawsuit? And why would that be? Because this person also said he don't care whether he wins or loses. He just wants to bankrupt those people that he sues. And most of us don't have a whole lot of money. We got some pocket change. Now, maybe it was a mistake to sue a whole bunch of us at one time, and that the fact that maybe with all of us together, we can afford to be legally represented in some way. Or maybe, just maybe, one of the people in there has already made a lawsuit that has plenty of backing and is going to make the case go away. And he probably thinks it will. But I can tell you right now, it probably won't. And it probably won't go away anyway. This guy is a guy that loves to sue, and until he stopped, he will continue doing that. He's made money off of it. He's going to make it in the future. Yeah, it was hilarious seeing the screenshots of them in Poop's chat, freaking out about getting screenshots in Ray's last week. Classic. They don't want to think that I can think. They don't want to think that. They want to make fun and say, hey, this guy is senile. He's got a problem. There's something wrong with him. And they all got on the same way of thinking. Well, listen, one thing I still have about me is the fact that I can still speak English, a little bit of German sometimes if I can think back far enough. It's only been a little over 60 years since I spoke it on a daily basis, but you know, it happens. Senility takes care of the little things like that. And the only thing I learned in Spanish was how to swear, and that was at a time where I wasn't as serious as I am today. But the simple fact is this: I know how to laugh, and I learned how to cry. The last 6 months, I cried more than I have in my entire life. Why? Well, the Lord blessed me with a little bit of empathy. And because of that, I miss the very woman who carried me most of her life on her shoulders. She is what I am today because she kept me on the straight and narrow. No qualms about that whatsoever. And I miss the fact that I don't have that person to share with anymore. And it may make me act a little different from time to time, but I assure you, every day I'm getting a little stronger as far as how I'm thinking about things and what I'm doing and what I'm going to do. And I am cooking my own meals. I'm not buying just the frozen box meals that they have in Walmart. I enjoyed them while I was there, and that fact that I wasn't doing much cooking. But I realized a while back that the busier I am, the more I can continue back into real life. Part of it is talking to you people out here, the people that mean more to me, okay? And on a daily basis, I appreciate all of you that much more. I love the thought that there's people out there that still think I'm normal. It's brought me back down and made a different person out of me than what I've been in the last few months or 6 months or whatever it has been. I enjoy listening, and I've done more listening than I have talking. My wife said I talk too much, and that's a reality. I do. I get going on a tangent, and it's hard to shut up. And you can tell I'm on a tangent because I don't go, yeah, those kind of things, because those are times where you're thinking about what you're going to say next. That's all. Now, I wish I could talk like Jeebus does out there. He never stops, and he very seldom talks about the same thing twice. He's got that kind of an aptitude about him, and we can only wish for things like that. It's too bad Jeremy can't do the same thing, but you see, he can't. He gets off on a tangent on one subject, and he can't get away from it. He has hated all of us out here so bad, there's nothing else that he can think of. We're all in his mind, and someday it's going to burst. My opinion, that's what I see, okay? And maybe we're going to break the bank one of these days with our thoughts and things that we're going to say, because they can't keep up with us. They only have a certain capacity, and the only capacity they have has nothing to do with empathy, nothing to do at all with empathy. They might claim that they care about poor little girls or poor little boys or something like that, and they bring the subject up. And then when they associate us with it, it's more like, oh, those people are strange. They don't know what they're talking about. They're getting senile, that kind of stuff. We all know they're full of bullshit, don't we? We do. And we see things a lot of times alike. Not everything, but some things. We're just enough not alike so that we're interesting to each other. And that's the way the Lord wanted us to be, period. They don't want us all in the same thing like those people are. They have nothing else to think about except for you and I. We take up so much space, there's not room for anything else on there. And now they're going to take this little segment I've got, and they're going to slow it way down to where I sound like I'm way down in the basement. Or else they'll speed it up so fast, they're going to make me sound like I have no interest. I'll sound like a jackrabbit out there. They love to do that. And they change the voice, the speed, everything about it. My face a little bit. They even put one out there that I had horns and a tail and carrying a pitchfork with me. Nobody was fooled by that. They know that I don't have any touch of the devil in my soul. I do have a soul, something that they may be not, that they don't have. Yeah, and I laugh about it, and I laugh about it with gusto because I know just what they are. And because I know what they are, they don't like me at all. And the fact is, there's people out there that will never believe them. Never. They can't fool everybody. This is a pretty good world in real terms. We live, all of us, you and me, and the people that follow all of our channels, they're the real world. That's what you can look future for and be happy about it. How many times you walked out your backyard and felt the fresh air hit you in the face and thank God for it? Most of you have. Others have looked, they're so busy looking out there, all they can smell is garbage. And I'm going to give you an example. Remember there was between Germ and what's his name, Radis? When he'd go by Michelle's, he'd stick his head out the window and complain about the smell. And he'd roll his window back up before he really talked much about it. He don't realize, those guys don't realize how bad they stink. And there's only one reason they smelled that smell. When they closed their window up, they were smelling themselves. They weren't smelling any garbage, anything else around there. The rest of the neighbors don't have any problem at all with what it smells like around there. It is not a dump anymore. It might have been when they bought it, but they improved it. It is actually a piece of ground that you want to be on. A little child can play in it. These guys could complain about the same thing over and over and over. They didn't want to look at it. We built a fence there. Now they think the fence is ready to fall down. How many lies do we have to listen before we figure out that they're wrong? How many lies do their subs have to listen to before they figure out they screwed up by listening to this guy? Has he hypnotized them? Are they disciples of something else and not Christ? Think about it a little bit. There's people out there that need help, not from us. There's something about unclean people that you want to stay away from. I can tell you that. When the second coming of Christ comes back, he will take care of those people. We don't have to worry about them. Believe me. That second coming is going to make the change. We'll all know who we are, what we want to be, but we'll be given that chance. We will. People like that, I doubt it. So now I talk fast enough. I didn't stutter. I got it all out. I didn't act like an idiot. Now, is there anybody in here that would rather be on the other side and listen to all that bullshit? I can't think of any. I can't. Matter of fact, I don't want anything to do with unclean people like that. They're of another world, not mine. So there. Make a screenshot. Have fun with it. You can blow it out, you know where. And then that's my say and my take on it and how I see it. There you go. Oh, let's see. Let me get back in the chat here. A little bit. Jerm said, him going, this will set the stage for more lawsuits. It's actually going to set the stage for him going to jail. All right. Self-stink is a thing. Shower is a cure. Yeah, but remember, by his own words, the shower is not necessarily something that there's a regularity for him. And if you look at him, you can see it. And the heck of it is, immediately it starts you thinking about how bad it must smell. But when you look, you always associate it with a bad smell. You just do. I mean, that's natural. How people look is a lot what they are. So Travis Putty's Ratty Games has 3 old septic tanks. Oh, boy. Oh. I hope none of them cave in. A lot of innocent people have been there. The smells of beautiful Christianity floating through the air all the time, and you know that it's not an evil place. That's a good, nice place, a good, healthy place, a good, holy place. Thank you, Bearded. Marta said he's going to build on it. Yep, he will. He builds on a shaky ground and with no foundation. Remember that. It's going to come down. Karma will take place. Bev says, I'd rather die on my feet than on my knees. Yes, Pebs. Somehow I missed it when you came in here. But hi, Pebs. I'm glad you're in here. Pebs says, hi, 9 chins. Where? I still don't see 9 chins. What happened that 9 chins isn't on here? Nine Chins, I'm going to tell you, if you're on here, I did not knock you off. I don't know what happened. I'm going to go back in and see if I can find you on the list back there. Gail says, I have no words. I'm scared myself. I can understand anybody that has to deal with that outfit could get scared. There's not a good place to be in their mind, or under no circumstances should you trust any of those people. Pebs, go back and look at my first comment. It says, hi, Ray. Is that your first comment, Pebs? Oh, hi, Kevin, Marla. Okay. Hi, everyone. Oh, you said hi a lot. Okay, here we go. To understand the evil and hatred Jerm radiates, you need to understand the narcissist. The people who follow him are lonely. That's the perfect storm for a cult. Yes. That's the way I see it too, Pebs. I don't know what happened with 9 Chins. If somebody knows, please let me know. The next time she appears on me, tell me where she appears between 2 people and 9 Chins. Go ahead and say something so I know where you were at in this chat. Marla said if their name pops up unless they're blocked or have you blocked. Nine Chins, check your thing and see if you blocked me for some reason. It could be an accident or whatever. Nine Chins, no, Ray, it's YouTube, Google. Okie said, I see Nine Chins. Okay. I don't. I'll go back in there. When this is over, I'll spend some time trying to find you on my list, the cutoff list. And if you are on there, I'll go ahead and restore it. If not, I'm going to see how I can do it without having to go back in there and change a list. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Right under Gail's comment. Okay. All right. She doesn't appear under Gail's comment. That would make her appear between Gail and Marla on my chat part here. So, Okie says she sees Nine Chins. Okay, Nine Chins, please understand I'm going to do everything I can to restore you. It was not me that had anything to do with you not being on here, but we'll try to write it. I'll find out what's going on. John says he still can't see Nine Chins either. Okay, I will go back on there and do that, Nine Chins. I can't do it right now. I don't want to lose the chat part here, but when we get done, I'll go back on there. Yeah. Huh. He said she's seen him too just now. So again, I don't know what happened, and I apologize. I can tell you for a certainty that I did not remove you in any way. Boy, everybody that's in here, I trust you that, that's my moderator, so I don't think any of you did it. But Marla's thinking it could have been Google or something like that, and that's possible. I've had it happen before where somebody was knocked off when I didn't do it. Oh, let's see. Peb says, Nine Chins, how do I check? If you're able to see her on here, that means she's approved for your channel. For some reason, she's been knocked off my channel. If I can't see her, I don't understand that. But if you weren't approved on your channel, you'd be able to see her. But why? She had to have been knocked off from my channel for some reason by somebody, but I just don't know who. But I assure you it wasn't with my permission or that I wanted you off me in any way. Google, YouTube. Okay. Yeah. That I know that I have a propensity when I'm looking at names, calling them she or something, and I'm sorry for that. And I realize Nine Chins is a guy, not a girl, not female. Tanya says, did you go out and come back in? That may have already been asked, but I stepped away. Yeah, YouTube, you never know what's going to go on with YouTube. I put a video up one time, and when I replayed it, it was like a boat full of holes, and you couldn't hardly understand the video. And apparently the bots got in there and were taking words off. And I don't know what words they took off. What the heck happened? Was my channel messing up or what was going on? But there's been different times where the bots have worked my channel over, and I'm assuming it's because a bunch of the haters got on and started making comments. But I don't know that for a fact. I'm just telling you that things have happened to my channel in the past. Yeah, I know when I complained, about one of the creators out there trying to get my channel taken down, they actually said if they wanted to take my channel down, they could do it very easily, which tells me they must have a little bit of power with YouTube in some way. I do know that the complaints that I put in have not been followed past the bots. The bots looked at it, and it never made it to anybody that could speak. And who knows? But I can tell you this, because of the difference between what I asked them to take care of for me and the ones that they did take care of that had the same problem, shows a disparity in the way they judge others on this channel. In some states, that's against the law to do that. You have to have equal response to the things that they're penalizing people for or allow against somebody. Just a word of advice. Don't lose it all just because they don't follow what you say. Just keep up with what you have to do to make your own conscience feel better. And eventually, I think before all this court system's over, YouTube is going to look at things a little differently on channels that have been attacked, like the few here that are very small, and where the people with large numbers following them seem to be able to do more, to get away with more, in my opinion, and that's how I see it. Yeah. Pep says, Nine Shins says he knows what the issue is. Okay. Pep says, Gail, the difference between them and you is love, truth. Mr. Tom Selleck has to go in for a 1-year checkup this afternoon. Prayers up for you, Mrs. Tom Selleck. I hope everything comes out clear. And I'll keep the prayers up for you. Let us know how you came out, please. Feb says, oh, good. Then Nine Shins will get fixed. That can have a lot of meanings. I hope you mean that getting fixed means he'll be able to come back in here. I'll just laugh a little bit. Not making a big joke. And prayers up for Mrs. Tom. Yes. Feb says Nine Shins is so funny. I can't see him, so you guys are having fun, and I'm not. Somebody want to take the good times away from me, I can tell right now. Oh, heck. I guess if we can laugh a little bit about it, we can get over it. Pers and Farrell, how you doing? Says, hi, everyone. Ray, are you and Leslie going to do any more songs? It's fun, and you guys look like you enjoy it. As far as I'm concerned, we will. But I want you to, her husband is also doing some songs with her. So it's kind of a cooperative effort between the three of us to get things up there. And with any luck at all, I am going to be able to see Leslie and her husband. And there's, when I get in the area, I'm going to try to let some of you know where I'm at so that if nothing else, we can get together and talk a little bit and see. I'd like to see as many people as I can. This is my last big hurrah of getting around in a travel trailer. I know that as quickly, my body is aging, so I can't just do like I used to when I was younger, traveling. And I'm trying to do this when my daughter is going to help me, and so is her husband, my son-in-law. We're trying to make it so that I can have a good time before the good Lord says, Ray, you're done with traveling. You're going to sit in the back porch and watch the birds and animals out there in your backyard. And I know that time's coming. And I'm just trying to put it off as long as I can and use the help that's available to make those dreams and wishes come true. So hopefully I can get together with some of you. And those that I get together with, karaoke is a hobby of mine. And even though I'm not great at it, I have a great amount of fun doing it. And so if Leslie will allow it, we'll do some more duets for you or duets for you out there. I do look forward to it. Pep says, sorry I was late, Ray. Had a busy morning. I understand, Pep's no problem at all. Mrs. Tom said, thank you, Ray. I really do hope everything comes out good for you. Sure, Bearded, we can do a song together. That's no problem. Country song sounds good. Years ago, a friend of mine named Mel Lawrence, he used to have a band, and he was a pretty good singer at one time. He's wrote different songs. He's opened up for a lot of the old country singers, but he had invited me to sing a song with him, and I'll see if I can dig up a copy of it. It's a duet, and it's about Baker Street. And he used to go to the church there. It's in California, Baker Street. It's the Cowboy Church. You can find it on YouTube. And Mel Lawrence is his name. And I was granted that privilege of singing with him the streets of Baker Street. It's been a long time ago. And he is not here anymore. He passed away a few years ago. It was a tough one to accept when he was gone. He was one of the only people that I knew that was famous that I got to sing with, and it was we had a good time. And there was others that have sang that with him. It just happened to be a song that he loved, and it was his way of being appreciative to people that were a fan of his. And I just happened to be a fan. Oh. Now, the first songs I heard when I was a kid actually were a lot of the old time country singers. Hank Williams. I used to sing his songs when I was very young. But I went from that to the first part of rock and roll. And I did not like Elvis. And the only reason I didn't like Elvis was because all the girls went gaga over him. If a song come on of his, you were second fiddle to a guy that they've never seen or so most guys were a little bit jealous of Elvis Presley back then. And back then I was really young. I mean, we're talking just beginning teens, and girls just went nuts over Elvis Presley. He was a competition you couldn't compete with. All right, I'll email you back, Bearded. Ray, you and Leslie could duet to your cheating heart. Yeah, I know the song. Your cheating heart will tell on you. I don't sing it too well without backup music, but yeah, I know the song well. Some of Hank Williams' songs were kind of tearjerkers, but his real fame was if you seen him in person, it was different. You know, it was more than just the song itself. And there was when I was very young, there was a friend of ours that used to come to the house, and his wife's name was Nina, and they would sing a lot of songs associated with Hank Williams. And he dressed like Hank Williams, and he was tall and thin like him. And so on a weekend when he'd come, he'd bring the old guitar in, and we could sing songs from that era. It was kind of fun times we had when I was a kid growing up. There wasn't a lot of things you could do. There was we didn't have a TV back then. And we didn't have one until I think I was in junior high. I don't really remember exactly when we got it. TV was not an important thing for us back then. We had so many things that we did and had fun of that TV didn't compete with those things. So, you like Kenny Rogers? Okay. I did put Islands of the Stream up. And it's a duet. It's just hanging out there right now. King Paco, I notice you in here. King Paco says, hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. And we hope you are too. Yeah, telling you we sang in church every Sunday when I was young. So, Little Bit says, Pabs, who's Jim Jones? Are you serious? A little bit. Do you ever hear us talking about Kool-Aid, drinking Kool-Aid? Jim Jones was somewhat of a preacher or evangelist. He had a cult, and he moved his closest followers to Guyana. And you could tell by his preaching that something was wrong with him. He would preach night and day, and it was very serious. And things went wrong. Some of our legislators flew over there to see what he was all about, and it triggered him. And he gave all of his followers there in Guyana Kool-Aid that was poison, and they drank the Kool-Aid and died. And the ones that didn't drink it, some of them were shot. And they tried to eliminate the group that came over with the legislators from the United States. They tried to shoot them too. So it was a real mess. It's what happens to a cult sometimes when things just go way out. And the things that follow cults, most people will refer back to Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid drinkers. It's unfortunate that somebody had that much influence that they could get people to do things like that. It was children and people. And those people that were there following him, they all come over as partners in a group and were separated from partners. It was a terrible thing that he did to them, but he had them so mesmerized that they followed him into death. Okay, so it's something you don't ever want to get mixed up in. Little Bit says, oh no, never heard of it. Well, that's the story on him. It's very serious if somebody calls you part of a group like that, by the way. Yeah, there was a documentary about him. Yep. Matter of fact, if you put in there religious cult and you put his name, it'll pop up right away. And you're going to see different stories about him. And they'll show him. Believe me, when you hear him and see the way he reacts, it will remind you of somebody else. Yeah, Waco, Texas, that was another cult. And things like that are sickening, and it shows how people can be. Joel Osteen, that's a guy that has made literally millions and millions of dollars. He had his church grounds were really something to see. And during a hurricane, he had told people that they couldn't come in to there. And he wasn't willing to let the populace of Houston, Texas, into his church during a time to save their lives from the flood that happened in Houston during and after a hurricane. And the press got a hold of it, news media, and he did open it up, but it was already too late by then. And since then, it's been downhill. And somebody that could draw 100,000 into the church on any day that you had a sermon they can't hardly get 1,000. So just to let you know that people that seem good aren't always good, and they don't always have your best interest in mind. Here again, money seemed to be one of the things that is upper in his mind and what it causes. Oh. But it says, Ray, it's a lot more than 100,000. It's a lot more than 100,000. It's unbelievable. The prosperity gospel is called the prosperity gospel. The more money you give to them. The senator said, good, I hate seeing that he had people arrested for trespassing on church property. They weren't allowed during the worst part of it. And he didn't open it up till it got out into the news media. Yeah, I can remember some of the top leaders of different churches would offer you towels and things that were blessed if you sent them money. It reminds me of when Christ destroyed the stands in front of the church tabernacle of the money changers, trying to tell people how wrong it was. And in this modern day, we have people that are making money for their own personal use off of the Word of God. Pep said, same thing happened to her over several channels. I wrote to YouTube and it was fixed that day. Yeah, I'm wondering who was able to do those kind of things. I'm thinking there was somebody else that happened to in my channel and they were able to get back on, but I don't remember how it was done. Yeah, you're right, Dan. It was sad. The documentary that was done on it, the reason they aired out something like that was hopefully to prevent it in the future and to show how evil things can be. And the leader of evil can get good people to do wrong things. And the Bible warns against that stuff, by the way, and tries to explain stuff. There's a lot of beliefs out there that are incorrect according to the Bible. and it's hard to go over the things and try to correct them. The best way to understand the Bible is to understand the stories that are in the Bible itself, so that they can give example of how people were and are, that they don't change over the centuries. The things that happen to people that guide them in the wrong path, and then they come back into the good path. You know, the prodigal son, or these things. You know, the things that happened when Moses was getting the 10 Commandments. His own people were not following the commandments of our Lord, or the instructions of our Lord. What happens when the good leader disappears for a while? Now, people go off on the wrong tangent. They listen to the wrong people sometimes. These things happen in real life, and that's, I'm not a good person. I shouldn't say good person. I'm not a person that is an example of trying to lead other Christians. I'm just a person that is trying to be the person that is willing to try to follow the teachings of the Bible. And as easy as it is, the practice is kind of hard sometimes because of the society we live in. There are a lot of things that tempt us. Yeah, love of the mighty dollar can change concept and things that society will accept. Money buys acceptance. Red Cross has had some people that were out there to try to help other people, but they were not doing it in a good way. I'm going to tell you what happened to me some years back. At the time, I was a construction manager for a company, or a general superintendent, maybe. Anyway, I worked in the office. And the company believed wholeheartedly in United Way. And by the way, I'm going to explain a little story about United Way, other than the one I'm going to tell you about what happened to me. There was pressure put on me to get people to sign up for United Way, for if they didn't have the cash to have a deduction taken from the payroll. Small amount, $5 a month, or even a couple bucks, anything. And then the company would be in charge of collecting that out of your paycheck, and that they were going to match it. And then they would send it into United Way. So I had went out, talked to each individual person that worked for our company, office staff and field. And everyone except for one person signed up. And the guy told me, he said, I don't want you to think I'm a bad person, but he said, I needed some help one time, and United Way would not help. And this person was a very honest, good person. Okay. And I told him, I said, don't worry about it. This isn't something that is going to be out there for public recognition. That you're not going to be held for your how you feel about it. Well, it just so happened that in that particular company, it wasn't compatible with a lot of things that I was. And I'm not going to tell you why. But I had left the company and I was in between jobs. Now I had my resume out to probably a dozen different companies and had some offers, and I was sitting on them because I had to be interviewed. Well, United Way, and by the way, I didn't go to work for a few months, but anyway, they actually called me up and said, Ray, you haven't lived up to your commitment here lately. I said, well, I'm not working right now, so I don't have a paycheck. And they said, well, when do you expect to go back to work? And I said, I don't know. I've got my resume out. I'm going to go to work. You know, I'm up front with them. I said, when I do, I'll continue paying you my commitment, okay? So they called me back a week later, and a week later. And then they got kind of nasty with me. And they said, Ray, you made a commitment, and you're not doing it. I said, okay. I said, well, my commitment was only for a year. So I'm going to pay you that money, okay? You can have it. I wrote him a check out that day, sent it to him. Along with it, I said, don't ever call me again. I will not help you in any way, shape, or form. And that was okay because they got this little check. Well, 6 months later, in the newspaper, the director of that area was held accountable for funding that he stole from United Way. Now I understand why they wanted so much money so quickly, because this guy was taking the cream off the top. I was pretty upset with it. I didn't write him any letters. And this is the first time I've said anything online about what happened there. And I want to tell you, one of the reasons that I gave to United Way at the time was, the thought was, and by the company itself, that if you give to United Way and somebody comes in and tries to get you to give to them, you can tell them to go to United Way that you have given a gift to the United Way to be dispersed. That way, your obligation is done. Now, in a way, that was selfish of me for swallowing that analogy of, by giving to United Way, I was given to everybody, which is actually really a lie. You're not giving it to everybody, although they disperse it, but you're paying somebody else to do it for you. Now, as it was, every year I've taken care of some things to diabetes funding and different heart organizations out there. And years ago, when I was very young, I gave to the March of Dimes on a regular basis, as did most people. But it is selfish for somebody to say, well, then you won't have to give to anybody else when you do that. If you don't feel like giving to an organization, just be honest with it. Just say, look, I'm not going to be a part of your organization at this time. And let it go at that. You don't have to be selfish about it. After all, the good Lord knows when you're given or not given. You don't have to make excuses for not, and you don't have to brag about it if you do. That's all. But that's what happened to me in United Way, is that they were going to dun me, even though I wasn't working at the time, and told them that I would continue it when I went back to work. And that wasn't good enough for them. They wanted it right now. And the guy that headed it all up in the area was a thief. Now, that doesn't stop me from giving to organizations. That never has stopped me. It didn't stop while I was with them. But what I give is not public record. And why should it be? It's just there. It's not a big deal. What I found in the past, and that irks me, is that if you do hand out different things to different organizations, all of a sudden you get hit with dozens of them. Not only does your address given to other people to dun you for more, it's out on the open market. They sell it, most of them. That didn't make my heart feel any better about some of these organizations. What happens is there are outfits out there that go out and try to get your name so that they can hand it out to different organizations or collect for those organizations. Be very careful who you give to and how, is what my word is. I'm not telling you to be selfish. I'm just telling you to be cautious, that's all. As far as I'm concerned, no, I'm not going to give to United. And I'm sure there's areas where they actually use the money the way they should. What I've figured out on my own, I don't need somebody to decide who I want to give to. And I'm never going to use the excuse that I've already given to an outfit. You go to them because they're the ones that split the money up for whoever is out there. I have that choice of who I want to give or not give to, and I want to retain that. United Ways taught me the lesson, and it was a lesson that I will never forget. As far as forgiveness, forgive them for what? It was my mistake. I made the mistake. And part of it is not being honest with myself. It was easier to say, I already gave. You'll have to go to them. They're willing to split with you. Relieve the pressure off of me. Okay. I didn't need to relieve myself. All I had to do is be honest with those that come and try to get me for something I don't want to give. That's all. Okay. Oh. That lady says they were charged with embezzlement. Who's that? Nine Chins. Whoops. You see what it says here about Nine Chins. Nine Chins, why does Ray think you're a girl with a you and Mo's offspring? Maybe he thinks Mo's a boy. If you listen to me, a lot of times I will say she when it's very well a guy. Don't think anything of it. Nine Chins. I know you're a guy. Okay. I've been told over and over, don't worry about it. I don't mean anything by it. Oh, heck. Oh. Let's see here. Peb says, have to make some calls. Be right back. I can try it. I have to go into the section on there. I can try it and see what happens. It'd probably be easier if he shows up on there and I bring him back on if that's what happened. But I can try that. We'll see. I have to go back into the channel itself to do that. I can't type his name into this right here, right now, and bring it back without seeing him. If he was here, I just click the button and make it. But I can't see him. Where Lucinda's at, it's 56 degrees right now. That would be nice. If it was 56 degrees, I could just wear a spring jacket and I'd be fine. If I do that here. And the heck of it is, this winter it's done it several times when it got that warm in weather that would normally be below freezing. What time is it? Oh, man. It's almost 1 o'clock here. I was wondering why I was getting hungry. Now I know. Yeah, Lucinda said it was 22 last night. Yeah, I had this morning when I first got up, I think it was 24 degrees out there. It was actually warmer this morning than it was last night when I went to bed. Usually my pup cat are in here laying down, but they're not. They must have got bored. They must be out there waiting. They always get a treat at noon, and it's past noon, so they're probably getting pretty upset with me. John says that Nine Chins just popped back up. I can see him. So, How warm is it down there, Tanya? Usually we're pretty close in temperature, you and I. 35 right now? Wow, Bobby, the pipes froze. Oh my goodness. I remember it's been almost 20 years ago. I had a travel trailer with a slider. And this was at a town that's not too far away from here. I was doing a project, and darn thing, the pipes froze on it. And I couldn't figure out why. I had heat tapes on my pipes. They were insulated, and I mean well insulated. And it had never happened in that travel trailer before. So I went out and I looked at where my service was because my power was on. Well, I had a separate wire going into the electrical panels. And somebody or something pulled the wire loose. And my pipes froze. I plugged it back in, and I went to the office that was taking care of the electrical stuff out there and explained to them what had happened. And I tied it this time to keep it from accidentally getting knocked off by an animal or something. Then the guy said, well, I'll check from now on, ready for you. It's kind of hard to go home on a weekend and come back on a Monday and not realize what happened until Monday night, and your pipes are froze. Nothing works too well. Yeah, Tanya says, that is no fun. Finding heat tape on my pipes, no more freezing. Yeah. At one time, I was on the job site, and at that time I had a different trailer, and it didn't have an enclosed belly on it. So I wrapped up my tanks that were underneath there. And I put it's like a blanket for concrete. I had that all stapled up underneath and in place and wired and everything you can do to hold it there. And it froze. And the people I had that would come there and they would empty my tanks for me, I called them up. I said, my tanks are full. What's going on? And they said, we couldn't get anything to come out. He said, it's probably froze. Went out, sure enough, somebody had pulled the plug for that. The plug was separate from the electrical for the rest of the trailer. But it happens. Wow. That was awful going through that. Man. You had the propane inside the trailer? Oh, Bobby says that the well water, the heat pump or the heat lamp stopped working on the pump. Yeah. That's a problem with power, electrical power. You don't know it's not on until it's too late a lot of times in those. Cindy said that she threw a big comforter over the well tank. Okay, Bearded. Man, you've been through some rough times, Bearded. Yeah. Well, I better get off from here for. I want to have to go fix me something to eat, and I know the reason my pets aren't in here right now is they're probably upset with me because normally they get something around noon, and in Central Standard Time right now it is 5 minutes to 1. By now they're getting they're probably going to give me hell when I get back into the kitchen out there. But I appreciate all of you coming in and talking things over. Keeping in mind, we've just give fodder for the haters out there for a lot of videos to produce out there. They'll certainly take my words and they'll go over them on each channel. We'll say something similar, and they'll bring up the senility that I seem to be showing, and they'll probably say something maybe of something about IQ or something to that extent. They'll be talking to everybody about everybody in my channel that said anything that might be negative. They'll do everything they can to make you famous among their group, as if that would be a great thing. But I do applaud you for coming in here, speaking your piece, and you're giving your opinion. I know every one of you, it was an opinion and not a statement of fact, or the ones that do have a statement of fact that it indeed is. And all we can do is try to survive from one day to the next. And if they don't want to listen to us, they don't have to. But I guarantee you, every one of them loves to talk about us. And because they love to be hateful, that's all the things that they can say about us. They don't know the goodness that we may have in our heart or that we try to display. But it's there. I know it's there because you came into here and expressed it. So for you, I'm so happy for you. And let's hope things go better for all of us. And that those that go their way and speak their own piece and don't want anything to do with us, well, that's just tough shit, right? That's putting it out as plain as I can. And that gives them something to talk about because I said something like that. All right, that's it for today. And John just got through saying ta-ta. I think that's probably what I'm going to have to say. And we're going to end this stream right here. And as you see, it's ended.